Okay, we'll be starting shortly at 2. Welcome everyone to our weekly webinar. We've been running these webinars as Zenande Leadership since the beginning of lockdown. I see there's a couple of people in attendance. Karen is in attendance, Lindiwe Msiza, Dr. Msengana Ndlele, Chumani Manu. I think it's the first time I see you, Chumani, here. Buisoyak is in attendance, Bella Boko is in attendance. Whilst we're waiting for the other people to join us, let me just check with my panelist today. I see her video is not on. Just want to check that she's got his video on. Andiswa, want to get your video on? Okay, whilst that is happening, I'm not sure if she can hear me because I don't see her sound as well. But the good news is that she's connected. So we just need to sort out small technical things. Yes, I see she's connecting to audio at least and video. Welcome.
Hi, Pam.
Hi, I can hear you now perfectly.
Okay. Let me check because I had to use let me close another one. I had to, because I was panicking because of time. Let's open 2 at the same time. Let me close one.
Yeah, you can close the other one.
Yes. Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear and see you. Okay. Are you winning? You look like you're frozen on the other one. Okay, whilst we're getting her sorted out, let me just get other people just to get the webinar started. It is, next slide, it is one of our weekly webinars, which we have moved from a Wednesday to a Thursday now. So they're now happening on Thursday at this time. A little bit about, I think people that are in attendance know who I am by now, but I am a founder and managing director of Zenande Leadership Consulting. And I'm a coach, and I work with clients, mainly women, but I work with other clients as well in terms of helping them in their own leadership journeys. So whilst Andiswa is just sorting out her logistics, next slide, please. Let me also just chat about what these webinars are for. They are platforms that we've created for just also to get people to be in touch at this time where people are mainly restricted in terms of their movement, and they're aimed at sharing ideas and getting people to talk during this time. Because why we do that is that we are in this together. So you might just there might be social distancing, but we are still all connected. And it's aimed at supporting people to shift their thinking and energies towards positive thoughts and actions, because the more we are locked down, and of course we are now in stage 4, which is slightly better than before, it's also helping us to understand that we can be more during this time. And then, and just also to remind people they're not alone. We belong to a tribe, and we meet as this tribe every Thursday at 2 o'clock. And every week, next slide, we choose a topic, and that topic, often it would be nicer to have that with more and more input from yourselves. And we've been running, and we've been asking you to give us inputs in terms of what topics you want. We've received something. And once again, just remember to take 5 minutes and give us feedback in terms of how these are run, and also what topics we should be covering. Obviously, we do not know how long lockdown is going to be. And so we're talking about today issues about running your business during the lockdown. And I think people might say, reading the topic, I'm not running a business, why should I now attend this one? It is also useful whether you're running your own business. Sometimes there are principles because that apply to how you run your life generally, and how you run a business. And the principles are the same, and you can always benefit, because we bring ourselves to our businesses. So if I'm disorganized as a person, I can never be organized as a business person, okay? So there's a linkage in terms of who I am and how I show up in the world and what I seek to achieve and the way I run my business. And if I'm a driven person, chances are that I'm going to do much more to get myself to, even in the times when my business is or is not doing well. And if I'm struggling in my personal life, it will definitely affect my business life. So there's a linkage in terms of who we are as business people and who we are as people. So thanks for the people that are now regulars. I see Dr. Gwakwa is also here, and I see Dali's coming. I think I see Dali for the first time. So people should know the drill by now, but if you don't, there is at the bottom of the screen a button called chat. So if you want to say something to any one of us, the panelists or other participants, please use that button to just chat. There's also a Q&A button if you want to ask us a question, or if that's too complicated, it's easier for you to use the chat button. Either way, we will be able to pick that up and be able to respond to your questions. Depending on how we're going in terms of time, we do allow people to either speak or ask their questions through the chat box. We'll see how it runs. So do not feel offended if you don't get a chance to speak. But if you do get a chance to speak, which I hope you will, just remember, there's many of us on this call, and we want to maximize it. We do have a guest speaker, which I'll get to her just now. But we do want you to just be considerate. 30 seconds, brief, quick, sharp points, be succinct, and it will be very, very useful, because we get to hear you, and then other people get a chance to ask a question, and it's all fair for everyone. So those are just housekeeping issues. As I said, today we have, next slide please, our guest, who is Andy Swamsi. We call her Ans, and she's a business strategist, a facilitator, a transformation coach, and also an NLP practitioner. And I'm sure she will tell herself more about who she is and what she's done. Andiswa is from the Eastern Cape, and she is running a business in the Eastern Cape. So welcome, ma'am. Just want to make sure that I've got you. Your sounds, I'm going to unmute you from my side. We might get feedback because you're on 2 devices.
Oh, yeah, I've got 2. Okay, I had to make a plan because my other PC was failing me. So I'm going to try and sort of move so that, I mean, you see the whole of me.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Which
Let
one
me,
now? That one.
okay. Okay.
That one is the one that works.
This is the one that works. So
Yeah.
I'm going to
Switch off the other one.
Yes, I'm switching off the other one because I wasn't sure. Okay, let me shift.
Okay.
Yes.
There, we've got
Okay.
this. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Who are we
Welcome,
now?
ma'am. And
Welcome.
so thank you for agreeing to spend the time with us.
Oh,
And be a guest at our talks this week. Maybe to get us started, just for you to tell us a little bit more about yourself, who you are, what you do, what drives you, how did you get into business, anything that you think you can share with us.
wow, thank you, Pam, and thank you to everyone who's following us, and thank you to Zenanda Leadership. I'm excited. That's one thing that I need to tell you, that I'm excited to be here, because when you talk, you heal yourself. When you talk, you realize many things about yourself. So I'm just getting a free coaching session. Thank you, Zenande, because I'll be expressing myself, especially during this time. My name is Andy Swamsi, all the way from Eastern Cape. I'm the mother of 3. I use the word single, but I don't like the word single in relation to kids, because I'm not raising those kids alone. I've got the aunties like Pam that are helping me. So I use single in a way because I'm the one staying, who's the primary caregiver of the kids. So 16-year-old, 10 and 11. So you must know that now that I'm here, I've left kids that are doing homeschooling. So I'm trying to show you my life, and I'm running my business, which I'm going to share a story, touch on it, because it's called NSM, which are my initials. When I started, because I'm also going to share about business, to say it was out of an idea. I wasn't that clear of it. But it is sort of, it's a parent company to 2 companies, NSM Africa Media, a digital and marketing company, and NSM Africa Institute, which is a coaching, learning, and a research company. So it's me. So I don't have an 8 to 9. I've got a 24-hour workspace, because I'm also a creative. So if I've got something to do, I design at 3, at 12. I wake up, do breakfast, and make sure kids, they go to school and they come back. I run my life. This is my life.
Okay, thanks. So how did you get into business? I mean, what was the driver?
Okay. I've been in the corporate space for 18 years at executive level. Before that, both private and government. And I must say, I'm coming from a project management environment. So I'm a runner. I'm full of energy. But there was a point in the last years, because I left my last employer, which was government, where I found that because I'm a runner and I'm doing projects, the change of leadership, more uncertainty. You run this project, you're in the middle. So it became tiring. But also, personally, I was going through a phase. There was a transformation in my life. I had to take hard decisions. I wanted to be there for my kids, these 3 kids that I'm talking about. Then this one I need to share because something which fortunately I posted on Facebook this morning. I took a solo journey to Cape Town.
Yes.
And that day I went to the Robin Banks, Mind Power.
Yes.
Then I didn't go there to make any decision. I just went there to have a moment with myself. Then I took a decision to say, you know what? I'm just going to go back, do what I want to do, and make life out of it. And I'm going to enjoy, and I will never look back. So that's how I started my business. And I resigned. It took me a month. Then I served a notice. Then I was out of it. That's how I started my business.
Okay, we'll come back to some of those things that you're raising. I just want to chat a little bit about the lockdown. How are you finding this personally?
The lockdown, I must tell you, it's a giant psychological experience. It's showing us that really, really, life is not infinite. And I end up tapping in the areas which I thought I will never tap as an individual, which I think everyone is going through because this is a strange time for everyone. We know life is uncertain, but we've never had so much uncertainty. But also, I must say, it's a discovery time for me and for the business. And it goes beyond myself. It goes beyond, I had time to indulge and discover various things. But also, this is a consolation because I've never felt so connected. And also, there's loss because I'm not used to be in the space where I am. More than the losing of business, but there's loss. We look at the news, we see things are happening, we see the reality, and also we face our own reality. I've faced my own reality, and also there's sadness. But I believe that there's value in the sadness because there's going to be time for reunion. There's going to be time for these freedoms again. So what I can tell you is that it is the time of change, but there's so much peace that goes with it. It is well with my soul. It is well.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I just want to pick up on those 2 things that you raised, that you're discovering things about yourself and then you're discovering about your business. I'll start with self. So what is it exactly, if you share with other people, what is it that you are discovering about yourself in this time?
Okay, when it comes to the reflection, it started as an unconscious, because the first week, let me tell you about the first week. It was a week of confusion, the first 3-4 days, and it was unconsciously, we're just moving, it's a lockdown. But I think on day 3, day 4, then I started to discern because now it had to become something conscious to say, I'm at home. How am I going to survive as now being locked down with 3 kids? And also to say, it's really, really uncertain that this thing can take forever. It's not going to take, we watch news and you are not sure whether you are having COVID. And there was a time now that I said, I need to find, after reflection, the adjustment. I need to adjust. When I'm saying this is continuous, I'm still adjusting. Where this journey, as much as, because I'm the CEO, I'm self-employed in my business, as much as it was a personal experience, but at the back of my mind, there was the business. So I'm thinking personally as Andiswa, as the family member, as the family leader, as the sister, as the mother. But on the other hand, I'm thinking that I've got teams, they've got their families, the products that we're offering, the money, the debtors, the creditors, the business model, what's going to happen. So all these things, they are sort of going at the same time. Yes, it may not be all the time parallel, but it's a journey. Hence, I said, if I go this way, I'm going to break. Let this journey now be conscious. That's where the adjustment sort of came in to say, let me sit down, do a reflection. And the reflection, it started with a personal one, because I was learning things about myself that I know I'm an introvert, though I love talking when I've connected with someone.
Introvert?
Something
Yeah.
else came. Yeah, no, I am. Forget that we
Oh, no, no,
connected,
no,
but I'm an
I'm not.
introvert.
I was clearing that I'm hearing you properly.
Oh, yes. Yes. And I did put something to say, unless I've connected.
Okay.
So I was learning a few things about me as a person, and learning few things about me as a leader, because now I had to, this is the time for compassion.
Mm.
So there was a reality check to say, am I still, because also I'm a project manager, I'm a runner, I'm action oriented, whether is this the time to push people? Meaning that I had to reintroduce compassion within me. Break some rules to say, I'm the mother because I'm running these two things. If kids now, they used to wake up at 5 a.m. and take a bath, I must know that they're going to wear pajamas until 12.
Sure.
I want to follow kids to wash dishes every time. So as a person now, I had to learn adjustment and be patient as an individual. Coming now to business, shifting to business. Because at some point now, which was week 2, where everything now was becoming conscious, the reality, the adjustment, there were things that I needed to sit down and do them consciously, so, which I would encourage everyone who has not done that, talking of business, to sit down and pen, write things down. At the beginning, it was the same phase like when I started the business, where I had this idea. There's nothing that is uncomfortable as introspection. Because even with business, I had to go through introspection to say, where are you? Where are you going? Are you going to die? Is this how you've been operating? Maybe on a month to month? If you can survive, how long are you going to stretch? Is the product or the service that you've been offering going to carry you this? I had to do a feasibility study of the business, looking at the business model, the strategy. You know, when you talk of the management principles, sometimes as business owners, even as employees, this is relevant to even someone who's employed. We take the management principles like manage, you plan, you monitor, you evaluate, all those things. We just take them, we talk about them. But when you're seated at home, thinking that there's bond, there's car, there's everything that needs to be done, you start managing your fridge very well. Start planning your fridge. So I want to encourage someone to say, you are doing these things unconsciously, so maybe it's time to be conscious about them so that you can be able to measure the results. So I'm just saying, some of the things which I did after the adjustment, I checked the feasibility of my business model now. That's real stuff. That's looking at the strategy to come up with a strategy. And I'm telling you, if you're still doing, especially those that are running small businesses, you're sole entrepreneurs, you've got a team of 5 or 10 people, you can run this exercise, because sometimes we invite people to come and write strategies for us. This is the time. You cannot complain of not having the time. This is the time of self-reflection. This is the time of self-monitoring, self-coaching yourself. And once I did that feasibility study, and I was mindful that of the business runway, because you need to be mindful in all of this. You force yourself to be mindful because there's a noise around you of lockdown. I'm going to shift a bit because I'm a human being. I'm not used to being in one space. We watch, you need to study yourself very well, because we watch so much of the news. I had to say, I'm going to watch news now and that time, so that I've got time to either absorb certain things or reject certain things. And it's so important, maybe because also of the coaching background. I know myself, which I want to encourage everyone to say, you must understand yourself to say, now I'm going to a dark corner. And now it's time for lockdown. What am I going to do when I'm in that corner? And you need a different strategy, because if you used to go and sit at the coffee shop, unfortunately, if you used to go and visit Pam, Pam is not there. So it's teaching us a lot of things about ourselves. This is the time. Hence, I was saying, this is a giant psychological experience for each and everyone. Now, as the business, I had to look to say the business model that I'm looking at the optimization, looking at the communication, because now there's an element of empathy. I needed, because you don't want your business to die with the lockdown. It's to say, I had clients, I had prospective clients. Maybe your brand had a bit of equity. That equity has to last you, because you need to stay relevant. You need to stay in the mind. People, they must be able to think that, you know, if I need this, there's still that company. How do I do that? And let me tell you, some companies are still making money, some are not. Others, they had to sort of change. Pam, I can go on and go on and go on on this.
Yeah, sure. I've got a question that's been asked by Notemba. Firstly, greeting you, Notemba Mklenge, and she says, won't you help us understand the pillars of doing a feasibility study? What are the steps that one has to follow in doing a feasibility study?
Must I go to that one? Or
yeah,
straight?
You can. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. You know, when you're doing a feasibility study, because I want to, this session, because of the lockdown, I'm treating it in two ways, as a business, but also I'm treating it on the personal level.
Sure.
Deliberately. Because at home,
we lost you there for 1 minute. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to say something. Okay, you are a human being. You are in your own space. You are in your lockdown zone. What is important is that the first step that you need to do is as is. Bear yourself. The business is the same as you do your as is strategy. How have we been performing? Where are we? The old strategy, any strategy that you've been having before the lockdown, chances are you have to pack it down during lockdown, because we are not going to be the same. Your business is not going to be the same. The first thing that you need to do on a personal and a business level is as is. When we do as is, most of the time we skip a lot of things because we don't want to face. Because most of the time we're saying we've got business, it's only to find we're carrying our egos. It's not making any business sense. Our products are not talking to our to the need. Our product, maybe even the service that we're offering, maybe there's a lot of duplication, maybe we're supposed to optimize. So when you sit down and you do that whole reflection on the feasibility as your sort of your first stage as is, you're able to see sort of a rich picture of where you are. Then the level that's going to follow after that is to say, okay, now I've got the rich picture. What are the strategies that I can do to augment? You cannot do everything. Remember, there's so much uncertainty, although when you do these strategies and planning, it's always uncertain. The goal now, you have to come up with your short-term goals. I believe your short-term goals is the lockdown stage now. Because the lockdown, it can be 3 weeks, can be 6 months, it can be a year. We really don't know this time. But those are going to be, I'm taking as a short term. Then you've got your medium term to say, okay, if I'm operating this, because what am I going to do? But I'll tell you about when you meet your short term. To me, I've decided to say, because I've got all the time, every time when the president is announcing something, I'm reviewing, meaning that my short term, if my short term before the lockdown was a 3 months or 6 months, now it's timed according to what the president is saying and some of the learning. So you need to set timeline to review as a short term. Your normal short term, which was 6 months or 12 months, is no longer the normal because we're not operating the way we're operating. Then your midterm, your goal. So each time is having its goal, it's having its own strategy. But also, I'm not rigid when it comes to the movement, the changes. Usually as the business, you don't want to play because this is what I'm going to share, which is a personal experience of my business. Other lines are not moving at all because of lockdown. But others, I had to optimize, I had to go digital. So those are the lines that I'm concentrating on them. So if it means I have to sacrifice, change some of the things, let my focus be, because at least I've got a clear goal on this one. The more lines that are, it's not time to push a lot of things. It's time to make a difference, either within your business and personally. So what you do, once you've done all these goals, you've got your outcomes, then you have to create the way of measuring. So for my kind of business and the goals, I'm able to pick up on the trends because I've got systems. Some people, they've got systems. Other people, their systems, their offices, their businesses are bigger. In the office, they are locked somewhere. They're not even on their laptops. This is teaching us something, that some systems are with the PA that has decided, you know what, I'm not going to cooperate. I'm at home. So you need to be in touch. Otherwise, when you go back, you are not going to have any business at all because your business was on someone else. So that's the difference when it comes to those businesses. I can be specific, but I think what is more important is that your feedback loop needs to be shorter when it comes to this. And we, as much as cash flows are important even now, depending on whether you are making any money, but you still need to make projections. You still need to make projections. And this is not theory. I know sometimes people that I would want Pam to move to the stage. Fortunately, when you start maybe talking about things that a person can do, it's going to be more practical because I'll be sharing some of my story in coming up with these practical ideas that one can use and how one can augment. Because now, sometimes it sounds theory, but I'm telling you, planning is planning. Whether you're saying it's a theory, drawing cash flows is drawing cash flows. It's not going to change. Having a goal is a goal. It's not going to change. So, but you need now to be a bit harder to yourself and monitor yourself. Those showing compassionate because you need to know who you are. This is the time for reflection.
Thank you. I've got another question from you that's been asked. Is thanks for the session. Coach Andy, some of the words and concepts that you use quite interesting, such as soul, discern, introspection. How deep do you draw from spirituality as you discover self and manage your business? And how do you balance your technical business acumen and spirituality?
Okay, wow, this is quite interesting. When I started this journey, to me, because it was unconscious, and one thing which I want to, this is the time to learn. These webinars, this is the time to fiddle. Let me start there. Coming now to business and spirituality, human beings are spiritual beings. That is not negotiable. We talk of emotions, we talk of conscious and unconscious. That one you can sort of never separate a bit because you have to be in a moment. When you're seated in the boardroom taking a decision, you are in a moment to take a decision for that reason. When I'm at home, I'm consciously there. I'm at home, I need to take certain decisions, I need to behave in a way. So my spiritual journey has carried me through to be the person that I am. I just want to sort of talk more on that, to say, I still believe, whether you believe in whatever you believe in something. And I always tell people to say, when you talk of the issues of spirituality, because we're spiritual beings, they reflect on how you see things. They reflect on how you handle things. Hence, managers, I'm talking about the coaching experience. Coaching experience, it's, if you've got a coach, it's a healing journey. It's your accountability journey. It's your, it's, they will say it's not a shrink, but I'll say it in a lighter way than coach me. It can be a shrink journey. I'm saying that in a lighter way. I'm just using the word. It may be the wrong word, but I'm just bringing the experience of it, that when you've gone to a shrink, you come back with the clarity. When you've shared a moment with a coach, you become clearer. So there's always a moment, because when you're spiritually present, hence I'm bringing the element of reflection. Reflection anyway, that's what we do. When we do these strategy sessions, even when we're employed, it's a reflection period. But it's only that we do it in an organization. And even as individuals, we do that. When someone has proposed to you for marriage, you reflect. So we always do these things, but most of the time we do them unconsciously. Hence, I encourage people to say, put time with yourself. This lockdown is the time to learn, to join the communities that are building. I even choose at times when to watch news, because there's so much negativity around. And when I feel that I'm tired, I go to the communities that feed me. When last, those people that are on social media, when last did you check the pages that I'm following? Are they feeding you during this time? We've already had lots and lots of friends. This is the lockdown period. Where are those people, we call them friends? So that's when now the element of spirituality comes in, to say you need to be present, you need to be in a moment, and you need to be able to separate.
Thanks. I mean, I just want to add a little bit. Lindy, when Sanganendlela asked the question, that I find that for myself, and I'm noting we're going to ask people to come and join in and ask us questions just now, is that I find for myself now more than ever, I'm much more in touch with my spirituality. Sometimes I tended to do things because I thought I could just do them, but now I'm deliberate. I am clear about my praying times. I am a Christian, so I'm clear about my praying times, and I'm very, very intentional in terms of how do I serve and how do I use my God-given gifts, and I don't take that for granted. And for me, the whole lockdown thing has brought to bear how much actually we are I don't want to say lucky, that we are blessed. That's the word I'm looking for. We're blessed because every moment and every time that you are able to apply your gifts, every moment that you are able to share with others, every moment, even just taking this webinars for granted. If you phone someone, you say, can you be a panelist, and they agree, and they've sacrificed their time. Anne has to do things as a mother. She's got homeschooling. She's got 3 kids that she looks after. I can never take that for granted, because because it's also about connection. So it's service and connection. And I say, thank you, God. Whenever someone says, can you come and talk to me? And they say yes. And I say, thank you, because I think it's also, it's for me, the essence of being spiritual and being a Christian. And the last point I would just like to make, Lindy, is on the side of that, how you conduct your business and how you show up. And this is where I think mainly my spirituality comes to bear, because if something is not ethical and it affects my integrity, I don't do it, because it is not befitting on someone who calls themselves a Christian to do certain things. Of course, I have to make money. I've got to share my gifts. I should make profits. I mean, I don't want to say that I'm judging other people. I know I've seen things in the newspapers that suddenly you buy what are these things that we're using for our hands now? Sanitizers.
Sanitizer.
They cost X amount at the beginning. Within no time, they cost 3-4 times. Of course, there's issues of demand and supply, but really, there's also some people that can be greedy in the process. And it's also bringing that to bear in terms of how you run your business, because integrity and Christianity, I think, go hand in hand. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna move us a little bit more. And I know you have said you've got 2 businesses, okay, which under one umbrella. The one is the coaching, business training and coaching. And I think the second one is around branding, marketing and branding.
Yes.
How do you find, how has being in lockdown affected, did it affect both businesses in the same way? And, or do you have to look at different things for different parts of your businesses?
Yes, it affected some of the offerings. But what I did, because the brand marketing side, it's your creative side.
Yeah.
I then focused on the creative side to build the coaching side.
I see. Yeah.
So I became my own doctor. I became my own provider, my own doctor, to say, you've been with your coaching sessions, meeting on one-on-one, sitting there. How do you now becoming creative and optimize and being digitalized to offer the same service?
Yeah.
Using your Zoom, using your Skype, using also now building trust for someone to say, because sometimes when you're seated down, they are clear that you are just taking notes, you're not recording. There's a lot of recording going around now. I remember one client of mine told me that, are you not recording me? We're doing so as much as there was trust, but now there's more trust. You need to go back now to the policies, the security, people, they want to know that, is this thing not in the cloud? That after, so you're no longer dealing about the trust issues now. So what has happened, because it's 2 companies, the other one, it's business, it's having a business B2B element. The marketing, it was mainly B2B. And we had to, and business to customer. We had to sort of look at the offering to say, these are the things that we need now to talk about to our client. For example, I'm going to start now with the marketing. Social media, most people are they're busy with the data. So it had to sort of change to say the focus now has to be more on the social media. When I'm speaking of the social media, I mean the digital space. But not everything you can sort of offer on the digital space, because you need to also take time. We don't have much time to build trust, but it has to make sure, you have to make sure that you take time. Then when it comes to the coaching, because we used to say the minimum of coaching is this, let's say 90 minutes. But people, they don't have time, some of them, to sit at home to have a clarity session of 90 minutes, because you've got kids coming, they're disturbing you. To say, how can you break it to have shorter sessions? And using coupons, using some lockdown promotions, because they give an impact to someone who's uncertain about the money, and also to someone who is not sure of whether that I need to do. But this is the strategy that we've decided to say, is to say, we need to try and use one to be digitally present, so that we're staying in the mind of the client or of the prospective client, because this is the time also that you can use as an opportunity. Because if you're good in managing your own pages, you don't even have to go and get someone. It's to say, I'm going to get, because you need to be creative, I need to get someone who's going to sort of help me to be able to be in that space where my clients, they don't forget me. I still communicate with the team members. I still communicate with, you keep on engaged. And you even communicate your brand, which is your business identity, because people are in their corners. They are finding time to say some of the lines we no longer want, it's luxury. Because this is the same journey that I've been. It's like things that I'm saying, this one I never wanted. But also other people, there must be, because you've been on their face, they must be compassionate about your product to say, she's been there. It may not be the product that I want, but she's been consistent on the messaging. So where I'm going with that, both businesses, anyway, any business, others may not be that relevant, but I still feel we know of the companies that have moved now to do PPE. You know of the companies that have gone because of this time to concentrate on sanitizers. They've left their core because this is the time. And we know of the businesses to say, these are the businesses, digitalization and communication and technology, it's sort of moving. The health supplements are moving. So it doesn't also help to be stuck up in what you call a business, though you don't know what's going to happen. You may still keep your business, your primary business. Maybe it's high time that you have to really, really look at your offering, shake up your offering, shake up your content. Also review your product, review your service, review your teams. Do you really need those bigger teams? Because after this digital space, we're also learning the skills that we don't have. Do you need such a bigger team? Do you need the salaries that you are paying? It's still going back to that introspection, but now we're given an opportunity to bring a human touch within business.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is that any business, you can mention any business maybe that we can do a case study of it, that you can still do something. Yeah. There are businesses that alcohol that are closed off. Maybe it's high time to say, now that if I'm owning a bar, I'm just saying in case there's someone who's owning a bar there are people, I've been to the shops that does masks. I've seen people, and I'm sure those people, they had their machines or they don't even have machines. They've got their seamstresses there. So you need to be creative. It may not be something that's going to change your life where you'll be able to go and buy a Lamborghini. But maybe you need that money to sustain you during maybe that's the type, as a spiritual person now, that's the space that you need to be. You may be lucky that you're able to invent or come up with a ventilator that's going to change and bring the Lamborghini. It's for you. Bring it on. Yeah. So where I'm saying it's that this is one of the things that I was going to say. This is the sound strategy for today. For anyone to say, look at your operating model. I did the same thing. I looked at my operating model for both companies, for both the marketing, the digital one, and I looked at the coaching and the research. Because we're not doing any research now. The only thing that we did was to target the academics because they are still continuing. You know, your masters, your honors, that side. That one can still at least make a bit of, because they need to finish their studies. But also, we've shaped up our offering. And, you know, the content, the relevance of your business, your blog, you've got time for blogs, you've got time to read, you've got time to look at your website. And, you know, we reviewed our products, and other products are sort of down the sleeping zone. We're not sure if they're going to come back, whether they'll still be relevant, whether there'll still be a need after lockdown. Maybe there will be, maybe there will not. Also, with the teams, we keep on checking. We're doing the checkup. And no one can ever push the traditional offering at all, unless you are in that space where fortunately it's irrelevant. For example, I know for now, I've told people that, you know what, most of us are eating a lot. Surely after the lockdown, we're going to need some hlaselas and hlaselas. There is the market, be it or what, but there is a market for sure that you need to sort of change those things.
Yeah, thanks. There's a comment and there's a question. And the question is related to where I wanted to go. So I'll just start with a comment. It's from Lindy Wim Caesar, who says, lockdown to me is a gift, a time of gratitude, my double G, a time of self-reflection, a time to connect, communicate our intention and collaborate as families, partners in business, and make social impact by sharing our gifts in transforming and advancing Africa together. So that was just a comment. The next question from Bella says, on the point of digital presence, how do you distinguish yourself as a brand, content-wise, when there are so many options and people's attention span is limited? Let's just keep that question, because I wanted to just talk about, because I've been reading quite a few things coming up that the problems with going digital. I mean, there's a lot that's saying that are saying let's go digital, especially for our line of business. Okay, and I was reading. I mean, in the last 2 days, and I use Zoom a lot as a platform. Whether I do one-on-ones, I do group, so I do webinars. They're all on Zoom. And I read an article yesterday, and there was another one this morning that says the dangers of Zoom. Of course, I mean, it's catchy, and I read it because I'm now saying I'm moving my business into this area, and I'm going digital to try and adjust and be relevant. And what are the dangers? What if the potential clients get this and they say, okay, we're not going to be, there's dangers with going digital. So they might not, which is part of my survival strategy or repurposing my business. But at the same time, there's dangers and risks that come with it. And so I just want to talk a little bit, you to share with us, because you have a company that does that specifically, just not so much the dangers of it, I think, but more on a positive side. What are the benefits? And then we'll come to Bella's question just now to look at specifically once the issue of content. Yeah.
Okay. I think, honestly speaking, I've been following the research and the studies about going digital. One thing that I can tell you, this is not what we call our normal, even if it's our new normal. The normal, which I'm saying before lockdown, it can be our new normal, we don't know. But all I'm saying, we're not going to be the same going forward, because our baby, which is our client, has tested something different. They've tested a fruit purity after they've been eating veggie purity. So it's not going to be the same. And there's so much that is going out there, which we call it digital. People, we make a video, yes, I'm digital. We do audios, we call it digital. But also there's back office, which we call it the optimization. There's where all of a sudden now, if you are on Google on your same phone, you punch coaching. When you go on Facebook, everything about coaching comes down. So how do you use that? There are trends coming back now. All that I give it as an advice to people is that every business, be it you are a pastor, you need to have an element of a digital platform. The generation that is coming, that is starting to spend, is coming from the digital world. I'll tell you why. Your child, or any, when I'm saying child, I'm speaking of the age, not necessarily your child, I'm speaking of the age group. It's to say, they understand what comes short, quick, maybe flashy or clear, than a story, than a traditional way of having a business. Same as the dangers that comes with it, because when you press that enter wrongly, it's either seated on the cloud or someone has captured it, meaning that we need to be sort of relevant in the content offering, also in the channels that we use. When we talk of digital, it's the same thing. This thing is only that when we introduce a new word, we make it to the point that someone will think that when you're talking of digital, it's something that is not there. You still go do the very same thing. It's a different channel of either offering or communicating your offering or implementing something. I'm just going to make an example. We use digital tools. Sometimes we digitize our work. The digital tools have been there for some time, but I think what is more important is that how do you reach your audience now? You need to answer your question. I've got an audience, which is my client, my patient at home. I'm selling. People are buying online, e-commerce. Do I sit in a brick and mortar? How many people go door to door, the shopping? How many people go to the malls? If you look at, I'm just not talking necessarily about business. I'm just trying to bring a picture of many business. We're speaking of deliveries now. Mr. Delivery, the Uber Eats. So you may sit and become traditional. Maybe that's going to be your niche. When people want to go and sit, and you're still going to have your own market. But what I'm saying, the majority of the world is going digital. That is why now there are policies. You need to not necessarily understand what social media, you need to know that most of all your pictures that you've put on social media, someone is having them somewhere. They're being stored. Your privacy policies. So it doesn't end there. It's not new as we think digital space is new. It has been there, but it's only that now we're emphasizing this way of doing things. I'm just going to talk about the digital campaigns that we do. When we start, I'm just going to say now, I'm going to make an example of the coaching. We are selling a promotional lockdown clarity session. I'm just making it.
Yep.
That's what you're selling for this period. Because you need people that want to talk. And we're saying we used to do this at 1.5, now we're doing it at 100. I'm just making, it's not about sale. It's having two elements. It's about you being relevant for someone. They know that this business is a coaching business. You are becoming empathetic because you are selling your time or whatever offering at a cheaper rate. But also you've got this brand that you are sort of introducing to people. So what you do, you still going the very same traditional route of how am I going to meet this person? It's only that the platform now is going to be Zoom. It's having its own. You have to teach your client. That is why I said one of my clients had the issue of security and being recorded. So it became the new conversation that I needed to make my client aware to say, these are the limitations of Zoom. These are the benefits of Zoom. So talking of I'm looking at the psychologists now, though we know that some of the professions, they still have the ethical issues, which you need to go and look at what you're offering when the issues of ethics, of what is it that I can still do. This is not a generalization for all businesses, but we've seen people introducing apps because we are not going to have the new normal in the next few months. Doctors were busy doing the apps for the doctors so that people can book. They're looking for doctors, the attorneys, their service. So everything now is sort of done on an app, on a phone, you get all the information. People who are doing your virtual assistants, you book, someone comes for an hour, everything is becoming ad hoc. One, it's having a saving to you, and though it may kill the person, because nobody's going to receive the pension, they still are saving. But all I'm saying is that the traditional way of offering of a service, even the packages are being reduced to fit the moment.
Yeah.
So whether we run away from the digital space, unfortunately, e-commerce has become what we're doing for selling, the apps, because everything is on the phone. My laptop could not carry me. I had to use another platform to talk to you. It's the way to go. It's our time. So you have to introduce some digitization when it comes to work and use some of your digital tools.
Yeah, thanks. And let's come back to Bella's question. And I see I've got a comment from Karen about share some of the articles. There was one, I don't know how to do it at the moment, Karen, I can get it to you, but there was an article yesterday in the New York Times. If you Google that, it says the title of the article is Why Zoom is Terrible by Kate Murphy, okay? But it talks about some of what happens when you're on Zoom. I know, for example, in today's News 24, there was something about someone, there was a Zoom session of Parliament and
oh my goodness,
you know. So they're having a parliamentary session and someone hacked the system, and it has happened to the Minister of a woman as well at some point. So those are some of the risks, but there could be, there's others. I mean, I'll get this particular article to you. I just don't know how to post it in the chat box as I'm facilitating at the moment. But I can see if I can get one of my colleagues, maybe Ganasha can do it. I'll get it there for you, Karen. But Bella's point about digital presence, how do you distinguish yourself as a brand, content-wise, when there are so many options and people's attention span is limited? And by the way, and as you answer this, I've just got an idea, and maybe I'll bring you back as one of our panelists, just to talk about a little bit about the new normal, especially using what platforms are possible and what is then possible in terms of digitalization and the policies and the strategies and how do you go about it. We'll come back to that. But I think I've just got an idea, something to talk about in the future in one of these webinars. Yeah.
Yes. You know, okay, before I go to the answer, I was reading at the article to say, what is the industry that are sort of cashing in? It's I just want people to be aware, your digital industry and telecoms, your distance learning. This is all in the long distance. This is more in the digital space. Your e-commerce, your medical offering, and your entertainment through streaming. And that must give you a question at the back of your mind to say, I may be sitting on the traditional, which is good, maybe if it's your niche, but I need to be a bit patient. Coming now to the noise that is out there. There's so much noise, hence that you need to be at times in a moment to be conscious when you are in the social space, even the networks. Consistency, build many brands, build equity for many brands. I'm going to talk now as a marketer. When you speak of the identity, irrespective of the noise, you still pick some brands. You still pick your Coca-Cola, your McDonald's. I'm talking now of the logos and the colors. It's back to basics. You need to keep your lane. We may learn from other brands that are in the social digital space, but that doesn't mean if your Time Romance is your font, because now people are coming with Cosmic, you must introduce Cosmic. You must be known as that boring Times Roman, if your Times Roman is your font line. Consistency, color scheme, clean, if you are into clean messaging, if you are into creative, bold colors, consistency, because that's what is going to capture people. The boring sometimes become beautiful. People that irritates you because they are there every Wednesday, yes, others are going to kill you. They're going to be tired. But there are those that they're going to be tired to the point that they are going to make time and see this person that is so relevant. All that I'm saying, in the middle, in the midst of noise, of everyone making a video, of everyone posting a video, also, there must be it's going back to your marketing elements to say, what does your brand stand for? Even now, you don't just do the video because it's a video. You do the video because you are talking a product, a service, so you are conscious of sending your post. You are constant in sending, talking, as enhancing your brand value. Also, you even use the content. One thing which I've sort of picked up, I'm just going to talk about the institutions of higher learning, because they're also advertising a lot of online courses, your digital courses, the space.
Sure.
They are consistent. I'm just going to make an example. I'm mentioning a few brands. USB, University of Stellenbosch. You don't have to read. You see the poster that is coming from them, you pick up. You can either kill that brand, but on the other hand, because they are so consistent, and it's so easy when it comes to social media things, that we think that everybody sits at 3 a.m. and post. You plan your posting. You sit on a Monday when you've got time. You post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but at 1 a.m. All of them, they'll come at 1 a.m. So when I'm saying this new normal that we found ourselves in, it still wants us to learn, to be skilled. Yes, you may jump the wagon of the digital space, but you need to know that when you've got a website, you cannot just go and do a website now. Go and inquire about your SEOs, your optimization, also your link. So it's not a matter of having a website and then that's it. What do I want the website for? What is it going to bring in my business? So they still, and you cannot be the specialist of everything. You still need to go and get that service. So where I'm going now is that I still believe you need to make a statement of your brand, of your messages, the consistency, the offering. Have campaigns, digital campaign, where you know now that I'm focusing on this and it's going to run up to a certain point. Because humans are the animals of behavior. And everything that is being repeated on us. 21 days, yes, we become familiar. 90 days, it's a habit. So consistency, but don't confuse us. Yes, we do get confused. That is why sometimes we sit down and go and do strategy session. And like now, we've been given time to reflect. But our normal of reflection now, it's not maybe quarterly, it's continuous.
Yeah. Okay, no. I think I'm gonna definitely come back to this topic because it's very important, because it's also linked to people's social media and branding, because social media is so live, and people are not realizing what they're putting out there about themselves and the kind of brand that they're putting out there. And you wonder, why are you losing clients? But you're losing clients because of what you're putting out in some cases, and I'm not saying in all cases, of what you're putting in your personal page, and because there is no consistent messages in terms of the brand that you want to put across, especially for people like us who are in the business that have to do a lot about the person and who's behind them. And I think that we tend to confuse that. And I think the same principle applies where even when you are a manager. I watch on social media, I'm not talking social media today, I'll think about that. How much people just post, you know? How much they post. My kids today are having up, you know, for breakfast. My partner is going for a walk, and today I am finishing something at work, you know. And you ask the question: has the person thought about the impact of social media in terms of their brand at work? Because nobody's going to take you seriously when you show up in the boardroom and you're now wanting to be a manager, when you've been seen drinking, and not that there's anything wrong with drinking per se. Abuse of alcohol, there's a problem, but you don't want to now be seen every second day with a bottle of beer, and then you think that people are going to take you seriously, and then you come at work and all your posts, and people read it all the time, and they think, and they form views. And if you're lucky, someone will comment. If you're not lucky, and many people are not, they don't say anything, but they look and they form a view.
You know what, Pam? I want to introduce something now. I can see how old you are. Let's talk influencers. I just want to, I can pick your age.
No,
if you talk of the, if you talk of the influencers, oh my goodness. And really, that's the space to be, but depending on your product.
Yeah.
Depending. People, they need to be aware of the product. Also, depending on, you know, the person that is the receiver of that brand. You know, there's something, there is a study which I wanted to do, but I think I became lazy. I'll tell you what, as now, because whoever that is listening, this one is interesting. Because it comes to the question that was asked now, how you differentiate yourself from the business. It's like, talking of the leader, the personality of a person, of a leader. You are given a brief by a Pam, who's a sole, let's say a CEO. This time the CEO is having an interest in the brand because we're going to do the logo. And you tell this person that we only change your logo 3 times. 4th and 5th, then we add more money. You know, I've found something interesting to say. The personality of a leader influences a lot of choices. Because if the leader is the person that struggles to take certain decisions, I'm talking now on the issues of the personality, you change that logo 15 or 10 times to the point that you need to be able to say, when you start the business, I change, it teaches you to say, make sure that if someone needs to sign a contract, they sign the contract. You don't do shortcuts. Because if it's a person that is not, that keeps on changing, you have to go and remind them of the contract because they will want to change it 10 or 15 times. It doesn't end there. You are offering a service to the so-called the perfectionist. Doing an annual report for someone, you're compiling, you're going to change that cover page 20 or 15 times because they've got this idea in their head that as a creative, you need to interpret, but you can never interpret it exactly as in what is in their head, because in their personality, they are never certain, or they like other people's ideas. And in your principle, in your ethics, in your ethical training, you cannot copy someone's logo. Because at the end, you're going to tell people that, no, it's Andiswa who designed that. So I'm just raising something else when it comes to social media, the behavior, human behavior. and human behavior to the point of even decisions when it comes to the services that you want from people. But now I wanted to share something, Pam, which I think it's quite important, is that it's time for us to evaluate our alternatives, whether we sort of like it or not. Let's also not forget to identify the resources, because it's not the time to spend now. Other people, they'll say it's time to spend because you're looking at the investment to say, after this lockdown, things are becoming cheaper. You need to make calculated risk. This is the time for your risk register, your risk management. We think all these things are your management big words. Unfortunately, we're at that time where you have to look at these things. Also, you determine your tracking and evaluation methods. It has to be that way. It's quite interesting that we are sitting in the planning cycle now. We're working, but still sitting in the planning cycle because of the uncertainty. Though we are adjusting, but I think after some time, 3 or 4, this is me now, is that when we're getting ready for this new normal, this needs leadership, personal leadership and business leadership that is bold, that is willing. And if you don't lead your business, it's going to die. If you don't lead your family, you're not going to have family. If you don't lead your teams, even now, you're not going to have teams. All your teams would have gone. So you must be willing to be flexible, but be bold and lead. That's what we need to sort of embrace.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to give you, I'm going to ask your question now, then I'm going to do announcements and then come back to you. We almost are close to our closing time. And I think you've done a lot of this. If you could just crystallize a few tips for someone who is a business owner at this time in a few kind of points in terms of what you advise or tips that you want to share with them. In the meantime, let me just do announcements whilst you're thinking and getting ready for that. If we don't, just colleagues, remember, if we don't have your email address by now, just make sure that you put it in a chat box so that we get your email to send you the recording. Yes, we're still recording. So please remember to do that. If it's your first time, drop us your email so that we have it to send you content. Secondly, next week, you would recall that last week, in fact, next week we have 2 things lined up. The first one on Wednesday, we're having a very interesting. It's a launch. Okay, Zenande goes online, so it's Wednesday 2:00. So we've got that event, and we'll be inviting people. Please bring your grapetizer or appletizer to the event, because we will be drinking lots of it from our side as a part of it's a particular milestone in terms of our business. So just bring lots of appletizer. It's an hour launch. It's at 2:00 next week, Wednesday. Then on Thursday we have our normal webinar, which the topic is, we're dealing with issues around health and fitness. Which, if you remember last week, we spoke a little bit about the spanner that Judy was talking about as one of the tools that she left us with, and the E was exercise. So we're bringing the E back next week, Thursday. So next week we have 2 dates with you. Would like you to come to our launch on Wednesday, if you can make it at the same time, 2:00. And then Thursday we have a speaker, Kupano Marumo, who's going to be talking about fitness and related issues. So that's next week. And then ends, I'm going to give you a chance to, you've got some comments, great energy, Coach Andiso, and lots of food for thought, Malibongwe, and some email addresses are coming through as well. Thanks for such an informative and insightful webinar, Pam and Andiso. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you very much. And thanks for the emails, colleagues. So we'll keep this going. We like the comments. We like your feedback. It helps, makes us relevant. And it also gives my panelists a thing. So a few tips, if you wanted to leave just a few tips for the people listening, what would those be?
Sound strategy. You know, one, I'm just gonna, this is in any order. What is important is determine your lockdown operating model if you've got a business. Operating model, identify new ideas. When you read, when you're on Facebook, when you are listening to kids, jot down new ideas because you're going to pick up something. Reach out to a new audience. This is the time to move out of your comfort zone. Business to business, business to customers. Use digital tools. Digitize some of your work. Look at your communication channels, your emails, your WhatsApp. There's business WhatsApp now, your messaging. Get creative on how to reach your customers. Your psychologist, try your Skype, with looking at all the ethical issues and the policies and the safety, security, and all sorts. Start digital campaigns focusing on your services. Increase your social media presence. Remember consistency, the messaging about your brand. You may it's time to develop your own app. Apps are not expensive. Throw that now and look for code. I'm telling you, you can have the very app. Become an e-commerce seller. Sell things now online. Inform your clients. Communication with your team, with your debtors, with your creditors. Everyone must still be on the loop when it comes to this. Enhance your brand value, content. All that I can say, socialize and stay in mind of be active. Be active even at this time. Try by all means. There are a lot of things that are not that expensive to do. Let your team, if your teams are still working, just give each other tasks. The other one can be an email. Introduce the new ways of doing. It must not be now, this is not my job, this is not my function. Let's all work together. Hence, it's important. And also embrace the new sales channels. It may not be your cash cow now is no longer your cash cow. If it means you have to get sales from somewhere, embrace that. Get ready for the new normal. I want to leave you with say, this is the time where you need to lead. Show those leadership skill, act, be bold, and be willing to embrace the now. Thank you.
Okay, I've put Andiso's details. I didn't expect it to finish so quickly.
No, but maybe let me share something. Let me share something because, yeah.
Can I put your phone number? Can I put your number on here so that people know where to get hold of you? But we will send Enzo's details as we communicate so that you all have it in case you want to communicate with her further or you want to use her services, or I'm sure she would be more than willing.
Yes. One thing which I want people to be aware of, it's now, let's take this, after this webinar, time to reflect. What are you predominantly thinking about? Is it death? Is it the creditors, the debtors? Business is going to die. Is it yourself, your relationships? Sorry, I had to jump for the phone. Your relationship, because you are consuming your time by focusing on something. I'm trying now to bring that unconscious to conscious we started about. Because if you're focusing on you not having money, you're not going to have money. Chances are your status is not going to change because you put so much effort in not having something. You know, there is a powerful quote that says, change force is feared, but opportunity is seized. We need to seize this opportunity, even if it's for personal development, even if it's for writing, even if it's for doing nothing. Let's seize this, because we can't change the outside world, but we need to look at our belief system and try and change it. You know, I did NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I think it was clear as the facilitator, because my interest is on personal and business strategies for transformation. And the reason I chose NLP is because I'm fascinated about the behavior of myself, how I behave. And now it has influenced the behavior of my business, the behavior of my children, behavior of friends. And also, I'm fascinated about improving what I already have and what I already do. So let's look at the behavior of our businesses, the behavior within our relationships. How can we improve what we've got? Because this is the principle of power that we've got within ourselves, where we can determine. I know there's a discussion when it comes to the path, but I want to live with that to say we need to believe in ourselves as business owners, as employees, because other people have been retrenched, others are paid 50%, others, they're going to come back to different bosses who have gone through self-introspection, who don't need them or who need them. So there is so much uncertainty, be it you are a business owner, be it you are a personal person that's going to get a salary. But when you go back, it may be your manager has gone through some transformation. Your work, the work that you've gone through has sort of changed. So this is the time where I believe for everyone, let's work on our belief system. And thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for making the time. I know you're very busy, and I'm glad that you. I asked you immediately, and you said yes. And this is the thing about sisterhood, that in a time like this, we always have people that you just call up and you say, "Oh, come to the rescue." And as I said before, when we started these webinars, they were just supposed to be the first 3 weeks of lockdown. So now they've become a regular thing. So I had to find people, I have to think. So in doing that, I need more of ideas from people, which is what we would like to get in the surveys and the comments that people send us. Secondly, I also like to honor my networks, because at this time people have just been giving their own time without charging and sharing their experiences on some of the topics that I sometimes just put on them. And I'm very grateful for that, because I'm reaping so whatever investment I might have made in life, and I thank God, for that. But I also want to thank everyone for attending, because I know now we are in stage 4, and the schools have started, and parents talk about homeschooling and the stuff that they have to do, and others were saying, can't au pairs be made an essential service? Because but suddenly we all realize the work that they do. So it is not, I'm very appreciative, and the team, the Zanande team in its entirety, we're very appreciative. And we're quite conscious of the fact that next week we will be encroaching on your time twice the next week, but I think we hope it's worth it. Firstly, join us on Wednesday, same time, 2 o'clock for the launch, and bring it would be nice if you bring it in a in a champagne glass, then it looks like champagne. So we can celebrate. We will certainly on our side have our juice on the in a champagne glass. And then Thursday, the normal webinar, we'll be talking about health and fitness issues as part of the spanner that Judy spoke about last week. And we're going to say what to do and what to watch and how do you make sure that you keep yourself healthy and energized and fit during this time. But on that note, let me just thank Ans for your time and thank everyone else for attending. That brings us to the end of the session. The normal will send the recording whenever it's ready. And thanks very much for attending. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.